The transport ship landed on the station with a soft hum, grabbed her small bag and walked down the ramp. Her heart was beating fast. She had dreamed of this moment for 3 years. The Celestial Academy stood before her, a massive ring of white metal floating in space, home to the students in the galaxy. She was the first human to ever attend. Earth was not a popular planet in the Galactic Federation. Most aliens called it a Category 9 to be exact. This meant it was one of the most dangerous planets in known space. The gravity was too strong. The weather was too violent. The animals were too deadly. And the humans who lived there were considered primitive and strange. But had worked hard. She had studied alien languages for 10 years. She had memorized the history of 50 different species. She had passed the entrance exam by the smallest margin possible, and now she was here. A tall creature with 4 arms and glowing blue skin met her at the entrance. His name was, and he was the head instructor of the academy. He looked down with cold eyes. "You are the human," he said. It was not a question. "Yes, sir. My name is, I am honored to be here." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. We shall see how long that honor lasts. The first week was terrible. Sat in classes with students who had been alive for hundreds of years. Some of them could read minds. Some of them could see in the dark. Some of them had perfect memory and never forgot anything they learned. Had none of these things. She was just a human girl with a notebook and a stubborn heart. The theoretical xenobiology exam came on the 5th day. Studied all night. She memorized the body systems of 12 different species. She learned the names of organs she could not even pronounce. She failed the exam. The diplomatic protocol assessment came 3 days later. Practiced the proper greetings for each species. She learned when to bow and when to stand tall. She memorized which colors were offensive to which cultures. She failed that exam too. On the 10th day, called a meeting in the Great Hall. Every student and teacher gathered to hear his announcement. Sat in the back, trying to make herself small. "I have reviewed the scores from our first round of assessments," said. His voice echoed through the hall. "Most of you have performed well. However, I must inform you that we have a new record." He paused and looked directly at. "Student of Earth has achieved the lowest combined score in the 800-year history of this academy." The hall went silent. Then the whispers started. Felt her face grow hot. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to run back to the transport ship and fly home to Earth. But she did not move. She sat there and took the shame like a stone taking rain. After the meeting, her roommate found her sitting alone in their small room. Was a crystalline being from a water planet. Her body was made of something like glass, and she moved with gentle, flowing motions. She was kind, which made her unusual among the academy students. "I am sorry," said. "Should not have said that in front of everyone. It was cruel." Shook her head. He was telling the truth. "I am the worst student here." "Being the worst student does not mean you are a bad person." "Maybe not, but I came here to prove that humans deserve respect. Instead, I am proving that we are exactly as stupid as everyone thinks." Sat beside her. "Why did you come here? Why did you want this so badly?" Was quiet for a long time, then she spoke. "When I was young, a Federation ship crashed near my village. The pilot was injured. My people could have killed him. Many wanted to, but my grandmother helped him instead. She gave him food and medicine. She kept him safe until his people came for him. That was brave of her." Before he left, the pilot said something to me. He said that one day humans would join the stars. He said we had something special inside us, something that other species had forgotten. What did he mean? Looked at her hands. They were small and soft, not like the claws and scales of the other students. "I do not know yet, but I came here to find out." That night went to the combat simulation room. It was empty. Most students were sleeping or studying, but needed to move. She needed to feel her muscles burn and her lungs ache. She set the simulation to basic mode and began to fight. Virtual enemies came at her one by one. She punched and kicked and dodged. She was not fast like the other students. She was not strong like them either, but she did not stop. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. A maintenance worker stopped outside the room and watched her through the glass. His name was. He was a small creature with fur and large eyes. He had worked at the academy for many years and had seen many students come and go. But he had never seen anyone train like this. The human girl fell down again and again. Her body was covered in sweat. Her hands were shaking, but every time she fell, she got back up, tilted his head and made a note in his mind. Humans, it seemed, did not know when to quit. He did not know yet if this was a strength or a weakness, but he had a feeling he would find out soon. 3 weeks passed, continued to fail her exams. She continued to train alone at night. The other students avoided her like she was carrying a disease, but she did not give up. Then everything changed. It was early morning when the alarm rang through the station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Students woke up confused and scared. Teachers ran through the halls with worried faces. Shook awake, something has happened, something bad. They joined the crowd in the great hall. Commander stood at the front. He was a massive creature with thick green skin and small black eyes. He was the head of security for the academy. "I will be direct," said. His voice was heavy. "Head instructor has disappeared." The hall erupted in noise. Students shouted questions. Teachers looked at each other in fear. "Silence," commanded. "We are investigating. Until we know more, all classes are canceled. No one leaves the station. Security drones will patrol every corridor. Stay in your rooms unless told otherwise." The students scattered, whispering and afraid. Did not go to her room. Instead, she made her way to the faculty wing. She had no plan. She just felt that she needed to see for herself. The corridor outside's office was blocked by security drones, but noticed a ventilation shaft nearby. She waited until the drones moved to the next section, then climbed up and crawled inside. The shaft was tight and dark, moved slowly, trying not to make noise. After several minutes, she found an opening above's office and looked down. The room was empty. His desk was untouched. His personal items were still in place. There was no sign of struggle. But saw something the drones had missed. Near the far wall, just below another ventilation opening, there were faint marks on the floor. Scorch marks like something very hot had touched the metal. And beside them, a thin layer of white powder. Dropped down into the room. She knelt beside the marks and touched the powder carefully. She brought it to her nose and smelled it. Her eyes went wide. She knew this smell. On Earth, there was a chemical called chloroform. Criminals used it to make people unconscious. This powder smelled similar but different, modified, stronger. Someone had used a weapon here. Someone had taken by force. Heard footsteps outside. She quickly climbed back into the ventilation shaft and made her way out. An hour later, she stood before Commander in his office. She explained what she had found. She showed him photos she had taken with her communication device. Looked at her with bored eyes. "You broke into a restricted area," he said. "Yes, but I found evidence that." "You are the failing human, the one with the lowest scores in academy history," leaned forward. "Do you really think you discovered something that my trained security team missed?" The scorch marks were hidden in the corner. The powder was very thin. Your drones scanned for large threats. They might have. "Enough," waved his hand. "Go back to your room. Leave the investigation to those who are qualified." Wanted to argue, but she saw the look in his eyes. He had already decided she was worthless. Nothing she said would change his mind. She left without another word. That night, a second instructor disappeared. Professor was a creature with 6 legs and feathers made of metal. She was the academy's expert in. She had been teaching for over 200 years. She vanished from her classroom in the middle of the night. This time, there were witnesses. 3 students had been walking past the classroom when they heard a strange sound. They looked through the window and saw a shadow, something dark and wrong, moving faster than anything they had ever seen. It flickered like a broken hologram. Then it was gone, and so was Professor. The academy went into full panic. Students cried in their rooms. Teachers gathered in secret meetings. Everyone talked about the same thing, what was hunting them. Came too late that night. Her crystalline body was trembling. Everyone is saying it is a ghost, whispered. A demon from the void, something that cannot be stopped. Shook her head slowly. Ghosts do not leave boot prints. Stared at her. What do you mean? Pulled up an image on her device. She had gone back to Professor's classroom after the security team left. On the floor near the window, she had found a faint impression in the dust. A footprint, humanoid in shape but with longer toes. This thing is not a ghost, said. It is a living creature. It can be tracked. It can be caught. But how? The security team has found nothing. Looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere on this station, something was hunting instructors. Something smart and fast and deadly. And was going to find it. I do not know how yet, she said quietly, but I will figure it out. I have to. Looked at her friend. The human girl was small and weak compared to everyone else on the station. She had failed every exam. She had no special powers or abilities. But there was something in her eyes that had never seen in any other student. It looked like fire. Was ordered to stay in her room. All students were ordered to stay in their rooms, but orders meant nothing to her now. 3 instructors might die because no one was willing to listen to a failing human student. She waited until the corridor was clear, then slipped out into the darkness. The academy archives were located in the lower section of the station. Only faculty members were allowed inside, but had spent 3 weeks studying every part of this station. She knew where the security drones patrolled. She knew which doors had weak locks. She also knew that the archives held secrets. Every institution had secrets, and secrets were often the key to understanding monsters. It took her 2 hours to reach the archives and another 30 minutes to hack the door panel. Hacking was not taught at the academy. Had learned it on Earth, where sometimes you had to break rules to survive. The archives were dark and quiet. Thousands of data crystals lined the walls, glowing with soft blue light. Each crystal held centuries of information about the academy's history. Did not know what she was looking for. She only knew that the attacks were not random. The creature was targeting instructors specifically. That meant it had a reason, a connection. She started searching. Hours passed. Read through old records, budget reports, and faculty assignments. Most of it was boring, but then she found a folder marked Classified Level 9 Access Only. Her hacking skills were not good enough to open it normally, but she noticed that the file had been accessed recently. Someone had opened it just 2 days before disappeared, and they had not closed the encryption properly. Slipped through the gap. What she found made her blood run cold. 20 years ago, the Academy had conducted secret experiments. They called it Project Shade. The goal was to study a rare species called the. There were beings that could phase between dimensions. They could walk through walls. They could disappear and reappear anywhere they wanted. The Academy wanted to understand this power. They wanted to create weapons from it. The file contained images. Saw small creatures locked in metal cages. She saw tubes connected to their bodies. She saw burn marks on their skin where the scientists had tested their limits. The subjects were children. According to the file, all 5 subjects died during the experiments. The project was canceled. The records were sealed. But notice something wrong. One death certificate was signed by an instructor named Professor. But according to the Academy records, Professor had retired 3 years before that date. She could not have signed anything. The certificate was fake. One of the had survived. The files to her device and left the archives. Her mind was racing. The creature hunting the instructors was not a monster. It was a victim, a child who had been tortured and forgotten. She needed help. The next morning, she found in their room and told her everything, listened with wide, horrified eyes. "This is terrible," said. "The Academy did this. 20 years ago, different leadership, but some of the instructors who participated are still here." Paused. "I think the is hunting them, the ones who heard it. What can we do? We cannot fight a creature that phases through dimensions. We need to find someone who understands technology, someone who can build a trap." Thought for a moment. The maintenance worker. He was an engineer before he came here. I heard he built weapons for the military. Remembered the furred creature who had watched her train. She had seen him many times since then, always working quietly in the background. He had kind eyes. They found in the engine room, repairing a broken power conduit. He looked up when they approached. "The failing human," he said. There was no mockery in his voice, just curiosity. "Why are you here?" Showed him the files. She explained her theory, listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. "I was a combat engineer," he finally said. "I built weapons that killed thousands of people. Then one day they asked me to build something worse, a bomb that would destroy an entire planet. I refused. They discharged me." "I am sorry," said. "Do not be. I found peace here, fixing broken machines instead of building broken weapons." He looked at the files again. "But this creature, it is in pain, and pain makes people dangerous. Can you help us catch it?" Nodded slowly. "The phase by shifting their bodies into another dimension, but this requires energy. If we can build a dampening field, we can force it to stay in our dimension, make it solid." "Can you build such a thing?" "Yes, but I will need time and parts." Stepped forward. "I can help. My body can interface with the station's sensor network. I can track the creature's energy signature." Felt hope for the first time in days. They had a plan. They had a team. But that night the creature struck again. Master was an old instructor who taught combat history. He had signed the death certificates of 2 children. He lived alone in the faculty wing. When reached his quarters, the security team was already there. Commander stood in the doorway, his face grim. "Another one," said to no one. Looked past him into the room. The floor was covered in blue blood, but there was no body. That was not just taking instructors anymore. It was killing them. The academy was falling apart. Students screamed and cried, demanding to leave. Parents sent angry messages from across the galaxy. Teachers locked themselves in their rooms and refused to come out. The once proud station had become a prison of fear. Commander held an emergency meeting. His voice was tired and his eyes were hollow. "We have identified the creature," he announced. "It is a survivor from an old research project. We do not know how it survived or where it has been hiding. We only know that it is hunting specific faculty members." A teacher raised her hand. "What is being done to stop it?" "Our weapons cannot touch it. It phases through walls and shields. We have requested military assistance, but the nearest fleet is 6 days away." 6 days, we will all be dead by then." The room exploded in panic, tried to restore order but failed. People ran in all directions, pushing and shouting. Watched from the back of the room. She had a plan, but no one would listen to her. She was just the failing human, the lowest score in 800 years. She found in his workshop. The small creature was working on a strange device, wires and circuits spread across his table. "Is it ready?" asked. "Almost. Another few hours." Looked up at her. "You have that look in your eyes, the same look you have when you train at night." "I want to use myself as bait." Stopped working, explain. The creature is hunting instructors who heard it. It will not attack random students. But if I go to the old research wing, where the experiments happened, maybe I can draw it out. Maybe it will come to investigate. And then what? You cannot fight it. I do not need to fight it. I just need to survive long enough for you to activate the dampening field. Shook his head. This is a bad plan. The creature is fast and deadly. You are a human. Your body is soft. Your bones break easily. Smiled. It was a strange smile, full of sadness and determination. On my planet we have creatures called wolves. They hunt in packs. They chase their prey for hours, sometimes days. They do not catch their prey by being faster. They catch it by never stopping, by wearing it down, by refusing to quit. She looked at her hands, the same small, soft hands that could not match the other students. Humans are not the fastest species. We are not the strongest, but we are the most stubborn. We survived ice ages and famines and wars. We survived a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Her voice grew quiet but firm. Surviving is what I do. Stared at her for a long moment, then he returned to his work. I will be ready in 4 hours. Do not die before then. Told Commander her plan. He refused immediately. Absolutely not. I will not send a student to her death. You are not sending me. I am choosing to go. The answer is no. Go back to your room. Did not go back to her room. At midnight, she stood at the entrance to the old research wing. The corridor was dark and dusty. No one had walked here in 20 years. The walls were covered in old warning signs and broken equipment. She carried a small scanner in one hand and a combat knife in the other. The knife would not hurt the creature, but it made her feel better. She walked slowly, her footsteps echoing in the silence. The scanner beeped softly, searching for energy signatures. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. Began to wonder if the creature would come at all. Then she felt it. A cold wind that should not exist in a space station. A shadow that moved in the corner of her eye. A sound like someone breathing in another room. She turned around. The stood at the end of the corridor. It was humanoid in shape but wrong. Its body flickered like a broken light. Its skin was dark, almost black, covered in old scars. Its eyes glowed with pale white fire. You are not one of them, it said. Its voice was soft and broken like shattered glass. You are not one of the scientists. No, said. Her heart was pounding, but she kept her voice calm. I am a student. My name is. Why are you here? I came to find you. The creature tilted its head. To kill me. No, to talk to you. The laughed. It was a terrible sound, full of pain and madness. Talk? No one has talked to me in 20 years. They only screamed, begged, died. It began to move toward her, flickering in and out of visibility. Step back. She pressed the emergency button on her scanner, signaling. The creature struck. Felt wind rush past her face as she dove to the side. The creature's claws passed through the space where her head had been. She rolled and came up running. The chased her. It was faster than anything had ever seen. It phased through walls and appeared in front of her. It slashed at her from impossible angles. Its attacks were wild and full of rage. But had trained for this moment her whole life without knowing it. She read the air. When the creature phased, it displaced atmosphere, tiny changes in pressure, felt them and moved before the attack came. She rolled with every blow. When claws caught her arm, she spun with the motion instead of resisting. The wound was shallow instead of deep. She closed her eyes. In the darkness, she could hear the creature's breathing, could feel its hatred and sorrow filling the corridor. Survive, she told herself. We always survive. 3 minutes passed, then 4, then 5. The dampening field activated. Blue light filled the corridor. The screamed as its body became solid, trapped in one dimension. It fell to its knees, unable to phase. Stood over it, bleeding from a dozen cuts. Her body was shaking with exhaustion. But she did not attack. Instead, she knelt down and looked into the creature's burning eyes. "I know what they did to you," she said softly. "I found the files. I saw the pictures. I know you were just a child." The creature stared at her. "I know you are in pain. I know you are angry. And I know that nothing I say can fix what happened." Tears fell from his eyes. "But killing will not fix it either. It will only create more pain, more anger, more monsters." There was silence. Its flickering had stopped. It looked almost like a person now, a broken, exhausted person. "My name is," it whispered. "I had a name once, before they took it from me." Reached out and touched his hand. "Hello, I am glad to meet you." The security team arrived minutes later. Commander led the way, his weapon drawn and ready. Behind him came a dozen armed soldiers. They found sitting on the floor beside the creature. Both of them were covered in blood. Neither of them was fighting. "Step away from the target," commanded. "Did not move. She is not a target, her name is. She was a prisoner here 20 years ago." "I know what she is. I read your files. Now step away so we can end this." "No." His eyes narrowed. That creature killed 3 instructors. Those instructors tortured her for years. They experimented on children. They tried to kill her when they were done. His voice was steady. "I am not saying what she did was right, but I am saying she deserves justice, not execution. Justice is not your decision to make." Stood up slowly. She faced the commander directly. Blood dripped from her wounds, but she did not flinch. "Then let the Federation decide. Put her on trial. Show the galaxy what happened here. Let everyone see the truth about what this academy did." Hesitated. He looked at who had not moved or spoken. The creature seemed smaller now, less terrifying, just a skinned being with tired eyes and old scars. "If we execute her quietly, no one will ever know what happened," continued. "The academy will keep its secrets. The people responsible will never face punishment. And in another 20 years, someone else will make the same mistakes." Behind and pushed through the crowd. His crystalline body was glowing with emotion, held his dampening device, ready to reactivate it if needed. "She is right," said. "I served in the military for 30 years. I know what happens when institutions hide their crimes. The rot spreads, more people suffer, more monsters are created." Looked around at the soldiers behind him. They were young, most of them. They had not been alive when Project Shade happened, but they would have to live with the consequences of whatever happened next. Finally, the commander lowered his weapon. "Take the creature to the medical bay. Maximum security. No one touches her without my authorization." Was led away. As she passed, she stopped. "Why?" asked. "Why did you help me? I tried to kill you." Thought about the question. She thought about her grandmother, who had saved an alien pilot decades ago. She thought about all the times humans had chosen hatred and violence, and all the times they had chosen something else. "Because someone has to break the cycle," she said. "Someone has to choose mercy, even when it is hard, even when it hurts." Stared at her for a long moment. Then she nodded once and allowed the soldiers to take her. The investigation took 3 months. The files had discovered were presented to the Galactic Federation Council. 13 former Academy staff members were arrested, including 2 who had retired and 1 who had become a senator. The evidence was overwhelming. The Academy was forced to pay reparations to the families of the children who had died. New laws were passed to prevent similar experiments, and was sent to a special facility where she would receive treatment for her trauma instead of punishment. The other instructors who had disappeared were found alive in a hidden chamber beneath the old research wing, had kept them there, trapped but unharmed. She had been planning to make them suffer, but she had not been able to bring herself to actually kill them. The hate inside her was strong, but something else was stronger. something that remembered being a child who just wanted to go home. On the day the investigation ended, was called before the new Academy Council. They sat in a grand chamber, surrounded by screens showing news reports from across the galaxy. The human girl from Earth was famous now. Her face was everywhere. "Student," the council leader said, "you have done something remarkable. You saved lives. You exposed corruption. You showed courage that put our own security forces to shame." Said nothing. She was too tired for speeches. "We would like to offer you a position on our faculty. A new course, focused on human survival techniques and crisis management. Your skills would be invaluable to our students." Considered the offer. It was everything she had dreamed of: respect, recognition, proof that humans belonged among the stars. But something did not feel right. "Thank you," she said, "but I have to decline." The council looked surprised. "May we ask why?" "Because I am not finished learning yet. I came here to be a student. I failed my exams. I still do not know half the things my classmates know." She smiled. "I want to stay. I want to keep trying. I want to earn my place here, not have it given to me." The council exchanged glances. Then the leader nodded. "Very well, we will honor your choice, but know that the offer remains open." Bowed and left the chamber. Outside and were waiting for her. The crystalline being was practically vibrating with excitement. "What did they say? Did they give you a medal, a new ship?" "They offered me a job. I said no." Excitement faded to confusion. "Why would you say no?" Laughed. It was a real laugh, the first one in months. "Because I still have exams to fail." The three of them walked back to the student wing together. Along the way, other students watched them. The looks were different now. Not pity or contempt, something closer to respect. Maybe even admiration. In the medical facility on the far side of the station, sat by a window. She was still weak, still broken in many ways. The doctors said it would take years for her body and mind to heal. But for the first time in 20 years, she was not alone, visited her every week. They did not talk much. Sometimes they just sat in silence, watching the stars. On her third visit, asked a question. "Do you think I can ever be forgiven for what I did?" Thought about it for a long time. "I do not know," she finally said, "but I think forgiveness is like everything else. It starts with one step, then another, then another." She looked out at the endless galaxy, full of wonders and horrors and everything in between. "We just have to keep walking, no matter how far we have to go." Nodded slowly. Outside the window, a transport ship departed for a distant planet. Life continued as it always did. And somewhere in the academy, a human girl sat down to take her theoretical xenobiology exam for the second time. She failed again. But this time, she only missed passing by 3 points. Progress, thought to herself. One step at a time,